Hey guys, I have got Coach 1823 here. This is the latest Newell Coach off the line. We're really excited to show it. We've built this coach for the Florida show coach market. It's heading down there right after the first of the year, and it's going to be on display for several months down there. And we put a ton of effort into making this coach absolutely perfect for that venue. One of the things that we were really excited about is this paint job. We chose light colors as the base because there's a lot of sunshine in Florida, and it makes sense to have as light a color base as possible. That way the climate control doesn't have to work as hard, but we definitely didn't make it boring. We worked with a designer named Ryan Laux. He's very famous in our industry. He designed this paint job for us and put some really flashy stuff in it. The one thing that always catches my eye, we saw a Lamborghini Aventador at a car show in Naples, and I loved the color on it. So we really wanted to incorporate that into this coach. So this is the blue here. There are 5 colors on the coach total, and then a lot of other design elements like the drop shadows add some depth to it, and difficult to see on a camera, but there's also ghosting in the paint. There's a number of little design elements that are just very subtly ghosted in there, and it makes a really, really sharp looking paint job, especially if you get it out in the direct sunlight. You can see all those design elements, and the coach just really pops. So the paint job goes on an all metal shell. We're the only ones in the industry that build an all metal bus. The roof is one unbroken sheet of aluminum front to back. That way there's no seams, nothing to leak up there. The sidewalls are aluminum, the bay doors are aluminum. The only fiberglass on the coach is the cosmetic pieces, these little flares around the wheel wells and the rear cap and spoilers and the front cap. Really just for cosmetic reasons there, but literally all the rest of the coach is metal. We really like using that material because we don't ever have to worry about delamination. It just lasts forever, and it always really looks good. We are unique in the industry in that we don't use a store-bought chassis. We build every piece of this on the grounds right here. The reason we feel that's necessary is buying a store-bought chassis puts a lot of limitations on the build that we don't have to deal with. For instance, the heaviest duty chassis available out there on the market has a 56,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. This coach has a 63,300 pound vehicle weight rating, which allows us so much more flexibility in design. We've also got 4-wheel active steering. We are unique in the industry. There are a couple of units that have passive steering. We're the only ones that have 4-wheel active, and that makes a massive difference in maneuverability. I feel it in particular when I'm getting in and out of a tight campsite. I can back the coach much sharper than I could with a traditional motor coach and get into those sites very easily. For a power plant, we use the 15-liter Cummins engine. It's 605 horsepower and 1,950 pounds of torque. And we mount it in the rear of the coach here. And we do a really, really great job of putting this whole package together so that it's not only functional, it's also beautiful. It's got a lot of polished stainless steel in here. We did a wide weave on the doors, and there's LED lighting in there, so when you turn on the accent lights, the whole engine bay just glows and it's beautiful. And then on the functional side, this is a great example here. This is a 220 volt pressure washer. Really cool setup. You know, you're gonna travel across country, you're gonna get grime on your windows, you're gonna get bugs and so on. We build a pressure washer into the coach so that when you get where you're going, you can roll the hose out. There's quick connects at the front of the coach and at the rear of the coach here, and you can blast the bugs off, and then you can switch over to deionized water and rinse rinse it spot free so you don't have to dry it. It just drains right off. Super handy setup right there. Another thing that I really like about the install on this engine bay, I love the access. Look how wide open that is. When somebody needs to get in there and work on that, there's so much room around here. And then if for some reason what needs to be done can't be done with the engine in the frame, this whole thing is set up so that this lower bumper cover unbolts, and then there's 6 bolts here that takes loose the motor mounts. You can take loose the drive line. There's a section here that removes so the turbo will clear, and the entire engine and transmission will slide out of the rear of the coach with a forklift. It's really unparalleled how easy it is to get to these things. A few other things that I like about this, we have a air hose reel in here that's plumbed into the coach's air system. That is designed to air up tires on your stacker trailer or the coach itself. So it runs through an air doubler that takes in high volume, low pressure air and sends it out as low volume, high pressure air so that you can pump up to 160 PSI if necessary to air up your tires. We also have a Class 5 hitch down here that's 25,000 pounds. A lot of the modern stacker trailers have 3 8,000 pound axles, so it's important to be able to properly tow one of those. We also set the coach up with air brakes and electric trailer brakes, so however the braking system on your tow machine works, we're set up for it. Underneath the coach, there are several bays that are open for storage and have your other utilities in it. This front bay here is one of the storage bays. It goes all the way through the coach, and it has a powered tray on it that you can control from the door frame. So you can run that out to whatever extension you need to get it to things that are underneath. This second bay back is also a pass-through storage bay and also has a powered tray. The third bay here is the plumbing utility bay. So it's got a huge television right here with a Denon sound bar. That's on a powered hinged mechanism. So it will swing out to whatever angle you want to face your tailgate area best. And then behind it is 64,000 BTU aqua hot, 150 gallons of fresh water, 150 holding, tanks, filters, pumps, all of that stuff is in that bay. We have the door right here. This one is another pass-through storage bay. It goes all the way through the other side of the coach. And then this bay, this is one of the fuel bays. You can fuel the coach from either side. So we put a camera here so you can see when you're lined up with the fuel hose as you're fueling the coach up. And then this bay also has, this is 205 gallons of fuel here. It also has our lithium-ion battery system with 2 5,000 watt inverters. That makes it possible to power the entire coach for hours without any outside power. It's a really nice setup. So this one here, this has a fuel door camera also. This is where I prefer to fuel. You can fuel from either side, but I really like fueling over here because the DEF tank is right there beside you. So when you finish topping off the fuel, you can top off the DEF too. Our upholstery shop makes these nice little bibs here so the fuel or the DEF doesn't drip on the polished stainless. I think that's a nice touch because it's a pain to clean that stuff up. And then this is the other side of the pass-through storage bay that you saw from the other side of the coach. This bay right here is the electronics bay. So we have the Newell N1 system here, which is the control center for the coach. Really, all of the DC power goes through that. It's electronic breakers. They can be diagnosed and reset from inside the coach so you don't have to come out and mess with a fuse box. And there's also a nice little storage tray in there. And then this is the main utility bay. This is where you fill, dump, and flush the coach. You can do it from the other side, but this is the one that's really set up for it. I love this setup here. First of all, I think the carbon fiber looks really cool on there, but you also have a manifold system here where you can turn off different components inside the coach. So if there was a leak or some kind of failure in there, you can just turn that component off and still use all the rest of the coach. There's a hand wash area right here. There's a control panel that allows you to control a number of systems inside and outside of the coach. This is 20 foot of sewer hose. It stays attached to the coach. I like that a lot. In my own personal coach, I have to rinse it out and store it. This is a way better setup. So you can pull this out, put it down in the drain, and then from then on, you can control it from the panels inside the coach. You can dump the coach without having to come out here. Really like that setup. And then you have 25 foot of water hose right there on a retractable reel. Main water pump, backup water pump. Newell is very big on redundancy. We've got backup battery chargers, we've got backup air compressors, water pumps, the doors have manual overrides, the interior doors have manual overrides. Every system that we were capable of doing an override on, we have built into here. That way, if you do have a problem, it hopefully doesn't impact your trip. You can just switch over and use the auxiliary system and keep going. This is an example of that. The main pump here is a Headhunter. It's a 110 volt pump. It'll pump 60 PSI to every faucet in the coach simultaneously. Should it have a failure, or if you're dry camping, it's a good idea to switch over and use the smaller pump. And moving on to this next bay right here, you're in the second pass-through bay, and this forward one here is the other side of the pass-through bay that we looked at from over there. The gray container there, we call that the Newell Care Package. It has extra belts and fluids and, you know, fuses, breakers, light bulbs, things that you wouldn't easily be able to find on the road. We send that with you as a spare parts kit. It's a very well thought out layout out here. I really like the functionality of it. But the exciting part is right inside. Let me show you what's going on in there. So see, this is the part that I love about a center entry coach. You come in right from your outdoor living, you come directly into the heart of the coach. So you've got pantries, galley, beverage station, refrigerator, and half bath all right here, perfectly located to interface with your outdoor living. So this coach has a ton of features in it that we designed specifically for the lifestyle that the folks are going to use here. A couple of the things that I really like and I want to point out for everyone, check out this cooktop. So a whole lot of the food prep and service is going to happen outside in the outdoor kitchen. So we tend to try to want to really emphasize counter space. You have about 7 foot of counter space right here and another 3 foot right over here at the beverage counter, and that design is on purpose. It gives us room to kind of spread out the prep materials, the food, and so on. And one of the things we did that I think is just so cool about this is rather than having a surface mounted cooktop, which is fairly standard throughout our industry, this is the cook surface. It literally is an induction range and you cook directly through the surface. So it has little pads here to protect the surface from getting scratched, and then it's magnetic underneath that. So as you set the pans on there, it will help you center it by just kind of pulling the pan into place. And then from there, you can run it with this control panel, or you can use your phone via Bluetooth to run it from elsewhere around the coach. Really neat deal. So out of the way when you don't need it, for extra counter space, but there as a cooktop when you do. We've also incorporated a really nice convection microwave here. It's got a huge cooking cavity, plenty of room for a casserole or a bird for the holidays or whatever, but it's also your microwave. It works really well. You can set the temperature and the time at what you want. It's got probe cooking also, so you can leave it unattended. And again, really suits the lifestyle of where you're going to be outside of the coach a lot, not constantly looking in to see what's going on your food in here. And on the galley sink here, a couple of unusual features. We have hot and cold water here. It's great if you like a cup of tea in the middle of the day without having to get a kettle out. You can just do hot water right here. It's also got cold water, chilled water. One thing that I really love about our coaches is all of our coaches have a garbage disposal in them. That's very unique, and it makes cleanup so easy. You bring your dishes in, rinse everything off into the garbage disposal, and then we have a really nice 2-drawer Miele dishwasher here. Just put the dishes in, press go, and you're good to go. Right beside that is the trash can. There will be a trash receptacle here, and then I like to use this area for my cleaning products, extra trash bags, microfiber towels, and all that sort of thing. It's kind of a perfect place for it to keep it out of the way and tidy right there. One of the things that people love about doing business with Newell Coach, a company that's been around nearly 60 years, is we have used these, we have lived in these, and we do a number of things to make living in them much nicer. One of the small things that you would probably never notice unless somebody pointed it out to you is we do an acoustic treatment inside the cabinets. It helps keep your dishes and cookware stable and not moving around as you travel, but it also helps cut the sound down quite a lot. It sounds like a minor thing, but it makes a big difference in the quality of your travel. Another one of the things that I really like about the Coach is the use of soft close hinges throughout, and also the drawer mechanisms have a little magnetic pin that as they close it will lock into a receptacle that keeps the drawers secure so they can't come open going down the road. One of the most important things that we do as we're designing the Coach is working with the living area so that it interfaces correctly with outdoor living as well. I mentioned earlier about how the huge windows are such an important part of Newell Coach. Keep in mind what I said about this being in these fabulous resorts with palm trees and uplighting and water and all this gorgeous stuff outside. So what we want to do is maximize the seating position so that you can enjoy the outdoors from everywhere. One of the most important parts of that is how do you manage the televisions? And we've put a ton of thought into that. Typically, if you do a lift television over behind the sleeper couch, it pushes the couch out enough that the walkway gets very tight when the slides are closed in the travel position. So we try to avoid that whenever we can. We do a large television in the front overhead up here. That helps a lot, but it's not a very comfortable seating position as far as like watching television long-term, a movie or something like that. So the provision that we've made to accomplish that, these two awesome chairs here. I cannot say enough about how great these are. They're reclining chairs. It's really the perfect place to watch a movie. And to accommodate that, we've put a 4K projector in this overhead up here, and it projects over on the window shade across from me here. We've got Anthony Gallo surround sound with a subwoofer, so it's really a very solid home theater setup. And best of all, when you raise the shades, you've got your window back. You didn't have to give up a window in order to get a large cinema quality picture when you want to watch television. These recliners are made by a company called Himola. We custom order the frames, the color that we like that matches the Coach or complements the Coach, and then we supply the leather that's the right color to work with the rest of the Coach. I love the chairs. I think they are so comfortable. They're mobile, so you can move them around and position them where you want. They swivel. I think they're like the best way to deal with seating up here in the front. Another area that we put a lot of thought into is the location of the control panels. You can run the Coach using your iPhone or the iPads that are provided with the Coach or any of the other control panels, but one thing we're very careful about is we know you're going to want to be sitting here in these super comfortable chairs, and so we located a control panel right here beside it. You can run all of the lights, all of the shades, the security system, and a number of other functions from here. And if you're sitting here watching a movie, you can very easily choose the shades and say it needs to be darker in here. You have another method of controlling it. We also have audio control for our Coaches. We use a number of the devices like an Alexa or the Apple product, and you can set scenes in there and say, Alexa, it's movie time, and she'll lower the appropriate shades, dim the lights, and you know, turn on the television for you, or you can say it's cocktail time and she'll do the appropriate motions for that. At bedtime, she lowers the night shades and turns off the lights. And the ability to set the scenes is pretty nice. You know, one of my favorite things in the morning is I say, Alexa, good morning, and the shades all go up. A few of the accent lights come on, and I'm ready to get out of bed and go have breakfast. I think that's really cool. Another area that we've put a lot of thought into is this couch. You know, just to look at it, it just looks like a regular couch, but it's got a lot of things going on. And in a situation where you have a limited amount of floor space, it's really pretty important that you pack the maximum amount of features into every element. And this one is no exception. Several things I want to show you here. For one, it's a sleeper couch. So it's got a queen size height bed in it that will fold out. It will self-inflate. It's got memory foam on top. It's very comfortable. So that's in this space. We've also got recliners built in, which is nice if you're sitting around. Clear view of the front overhead television. And then another element that we've come up with, typically you want a place to put your arms, but those get in the way of having a longer couch that you can lie down on. So we made the armrest removable on these, which makes the couch long enough for a full-grown adult to lie down on them. Really like all of the thought that went into that. It makes it such more of a usable space. Another area that I think we put a lot of thought into, and I really like the design, is this dinette. As it sits, it's very functional for two people, but it has a mechanism where you can push a button on the control panel and the whole unit will slide out to allow for bolsters in the seats and a leaf in the dinette table here. That's really nice. It makes it easy, a 4-person and maybe even a 6-person seating in a pinch. And then we also, because we don't really do much in the way of desks anymore because people just aren't carrying an office with them. You can do most everything from a tablet or a laptop, but we still build some provisions in where this could be used as an office area. So it's got USB, USB-C, and 110 volt plugs built into the wall where you can plug your devices in, and then has great storage down here underneath where you can store those devices and whatever other supplies you would need to use it as an office. I think that's just a really clever design there. And then moving on back here, this area is a favorite area for our clients too. This is the beverage center. We call it that because we can do a lot of things here. This one is set up with a built-in coffee maker. Really cool, filtered water plumbed to it. You just press the button and it comes on and makes the coffee at whatever time you want. It has a Keurig adapter, so if you prefer single cup servings, we can do that in there too. The reason we call it a beverage center though is in a lot of situations, people will ask us to do a wine refrigerator or another beverage cooler of some sort right here. Again, super handy located this close to the entry door. It's also got all manner of storage up here in the top for the coffee making supplies and so on. A stack of drawers down here underneath and right next to the refrigerator for keeping the chilled items in here. It's a really convenient setup. The half bathroom is another super important design element on this coach. The location of it directly across from the entry door means that it's very, very convenient as you're interfacing with outdoor living. Very important that we have it right here. We love the pocket door because that keeps there from being any hardware here in the hallway that might catch your belt loop as you're walking by. So the door is just out of the way when you don't need it. Another thing that we've really got to think about as we're designing this is, like in a tailgating situation where there's going to be a lot of people outside, the interior of this half bath is visible from the outside of the coach. So we have to make sure the design elements in here don't clash with the outside of the coach. So both the paint job as well as the colors inside this coach were conceived of with that complication in mind. We also put bidet toilets in the coach at both heads, That has become a very important option after the great toilet paper scare of 2020. So we've been doing that in pretty much every coach. But anyway, I love the layout and the thought that goes into this half bathroom. And back here we have the master bedroom. Again, a lot of thought goes into this area. We've got a king size bed in here. Doesn't seem like it would be that difficult, but keep in mind we're putting a lot of stuff in a 45-foot motorhome. So with a king size bed back here, we have to make a number of considerations. One is when the slides close, with this length of bed, there would be a clearance issue. So we've designed it to where the back part of the mattress is hinged and it's on a power retracting device. So when you're closing the vehicle up, you can retract the bed and it leaves you plenty of room to maneuver back here. Another thing that seems to be really important is on either side of the bed you have these nightstands. Those are so handy because we all have iPads and a bottle of water and in some cases CPAP machines and that sort of thing. So we make all of the accommodations for that. It's got plugs here, so you can charge your devices while they're here. And the other thing that we're really careful on is we always make sure there's enough room between the bed and the cabinets. So as you're making the bed, you don't have to struggle with pulling the topper up. There's plenty of room to make it. I make a big deal about that because that's a consistent complaint I hear in the industry. It's so difficult to make the bed. So we've made a concerted effort to make that definitely easier. This is a large bedroom for this type of coach, and we try to make it functional as well as beautiful. And the functional part, there are some really nice closets over here, a whole stack of drawers. Underneath the bed is this is a power operated bed mechanism, so this will lift up to allow access to storage underneath here. I like it because I think it's a great place to keep my luggage, but I'm traveling in and out a lot. But it's just a big open space that's really perfect for a lot of storage. As you come back here, you start to see some functional elements too. You have control panels on either side of the bed that will let you control the entire coach. So if you forgot to lock the entry door, want to turn off all of the lights, run the shades, whatever needs to be done, you can do that from either side of the bed. Also operating the AV system. This coach has a large television built in over the window. That's a design choice. There's a huge window behind it. We went ahead and built out the window and finished it because at some point someone may decide that they would rather have a projector back here. The upside of a projector is you don't lose any of your window. In this case, you have about 10 inches of window underneath the television there. With the projection screen, it would work much like the one in the front did with the retractable shade. We did go ahead and build the cabinet and run the wires so that we could do a projector at another point if someone wanted to move away from the fixed television there. In the recesses on either side of the pocket door back here, we've done a stitched leather with backlighting, and in the overhead up here, more backlighting with a contrast strip in a darker wood color, which really warms the room up. When you're doing light colors like this, you have to be really careful that it doesn't get sterile. So we're always very careful about stirring some warm colors in, and I love the wood grain for doing that. When you have a gorgeous bedroom like this, you have to have a top shelf bathroom to match it. Check this out. Really keeping with the theme that we've been talking about all the way through is design, and we've managed to get a huge shower in here in the master bath. It's got beautiful porcelain panels that are grain matched, so it looks like one piece going all the way across. The shower itself has a number of options for the way the spray is going to work. Like you can have a rainfall head, you can have water jets coming out of the side of the shower, or a traditional shower head up there. We're very picky about having a big enough shower that you don't feel like you're in a cramped RV shower. So this is one of the areas that we really concentrate some space on here. Despite the fact you're maybe in a shower 10 minutes a day, it's just very important that you have a comfortable shower that's easy to move around in. Over here we have a heated towel bar. over the toilet. As I mentioned earlier, it is a bidet toilet. There's storage overhead for toilet paper rolls and other supplies. Across the back is a large closet with retractable doors. That's another thing, you know, I talked about earlier, doing business with a 60-year-old company, you pick up some perks. We did retractable doors because we found it so much easier to load and unload your clothes when the doors are back out of the way. On that theme, over here on my left, we have the washer and dryer. It's a stacked system, 2 separate units. It's got a 220 volt dryer, so it works just like it would at home. And again, we did retractable doors on it because it makes laundry day much easier. You're not fighting with the doors that cover it cosmetically while you're moving clothes back and forth. I like to leave them open and retracted to remind me that I have clothes in the washer that are going to need to be moved into the dryer. Then the vanity right here, it's really nicely set up. It's got a large surface here, plenty of plugs for curling irons and hair dryers and that sort of thing. We also wire inside the cabinet so that if you have something that needs to sit on a charger, like a shaver or an electric toothbrush, it can stay in the cabinet on the charger without being out in the way and cluttering up the area. This also has a mirrored pocket door on it, the main entrance here, full length, so you can check out to make sure everything is like you like before you go out of the coach. And one thing that Newell always does that I've always thought was really clever is the doors on the vanity over here are mirrored and they're hung opposite. So when you open them up, you can get a 3D view of your face before you go out. I think that's a really clever touch. Okay, so last thing, we really wanted to show you guys about the cockpit area. This is an area that I'm very proud of. We put a ton of work into this. We literally built this cockpit out of plywood and made it so that we could adjust all the angles to make sure that the viewing was right from every angle. And we set it up in the old chassis shop, and we just went out there at different times of day when the light was coming in from a different angle to make sure everything was positioned just as it should be. Once we were confident with where that was and a varying degree of tall people, short people, and everyone in between, we designed this dash and put it all together, and I think functionally it's the best dash I have ever worked with. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So the first thing you'll notice when you sit down up here is this large panel. This is new for this year. They were previously a 15-inch panel. This is an 18-inch panel. Bigger buttons, more information, easier to use. And it's got a number of little tabs across the bottom and up both sides that allow you to run different things in the house or in the coach. This is the house tab, and it's got the aqua hot, the climate control, the step cover, extend and retract, all of those functions, all the light master, all of that stuff is included on this tab. And then as you go through different tabs, like while you're driving, you'll go to leveling, you'll press travel, and you go down the road. When you get there, you press auto, it auto levels, and it takes maybe a minute. I generally do it as I'm outside hooking up all of my utilities. So you press auto. You can also, like if it's been raining very heavily, you can do the manual function and tilt the whole coach and drain water off of it so that you don't have a lot of water coming in on top of the slides. I like that function. The gauges tab right here is a backup to the gauges that are on the main panel here. The coach isn't running right now, so obviously that's not going to show. And then we covered house. Shades here allow you to operate both the sunscreens and the night shades that are on the cockpit area, so the two sides and the front. You can run them in a jog manner so that they just pop down a little bit, or you can run them all the way. We made the steering column so that it could be an automatic. Whenever you turn off the park brake, it comes down into the drive position, and when you turn the park brake on, it goes back to the exit position, or you can adjust it with the buttons on the side of the steering wheel here. This tab over here in the corner is all of the contact info for Newell. We have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service hotline. You can call and speak to our techs any time of the day or night. That is so comforting when you're out traveling, knowing that you've got that kind of service support right at your fingertips. So we put that on its own tab right there. You just dial that number. One of our guys answers the phone and helps you out. These are some shortcuts across the bottom here that help you quickly jump to, I want to turn the radio up a little bit, or turn the radio down, or change the fan speed and that sort of thing. Then over here is the mirrors. I love this adjustment. You can touch the panel that you want to run and then use the arrows to adjust whichever one it is. These mirrors are heated. That's what the little button does right there. I usually just leave the auto button on. That way when it gets to freezing, they automatically come on. I don't have to remember it. Cameras is another thing that we have done a ton of work on. The Coach has cameras everywhere. And there's 360 cameras that are super helpful when you're parking. You can see if there's a tree stump down low that's not picked up in your mirrors, or something that could do damage to the Coach. You'll be able to see that in here. There's cameras on either of the fuel doors, so as you're pulling into a fuel island, you can see when you're lined up. And probably the coolest thing, I think, is all of the camera channels are recorded on a DVR, so we can go back and pull that footage a couple of weeks even after, and see, you know, if there was damage to your Coach, you can find out who's done it. So that's a really nice setup there. Your phone controls are here on the main panel. All the climate control for the cab and for the entire Coach are here on this panel. And then the audio functions are up here too. You have satellite radio, you have Bluetooth, of course, we have Apple CarPlay over here, and that's a thing that we've been doing lately that's really pretty cool. Everybody seems to have a program that they like for navigating their Coach. And with Apple CarPlay, you can put your phone here on this inductive charging area and send the information from it to the rest of the screens. So you would have your navigation coming across the Apple CarPlay screen over here. You can have your AV on this one right here. It just gives you a lot of flexibility for ways to use the Coach. And then another thing that I really love about this is your main instrument panel here. So it's got all the things you would expect, like fuel level and oil pressure, speed, tachometer, air pressure, fuel, all those things is on there. It also has, and I think this is really cool, so what you're hearing right here is the Coach is going through a self-check, and it's saying, we're not ready to go yet. There's some things that need to be done. This pre-drive screen is going through those things. So rather than having to remember everything that needs to be done, it gives you an alarm and a visual warning that says the entry step is out. I don't have it up at ride height. We're still plugged in. We've got 4 slides out there. There are a number of things that I need to correct before the Coach is ready to move. So this little pre-drive checklist here keeps you on task. You manipulate all of that with a mouse over here on the left. It's got a lot of functions, like on the brightness here. If you're driving after dark, you can select that and turn it down so that it's not too bright. You can move through the settings right here. There's so many things you can do there. If you have a sensitivity to, say, red-green color blindness, we have a green background and red needles. You can change those colors so that they aren't in a color that misses you. You can make it kilometers prominent if you're using the Coach overseas or in Canada. There's a bunch of things we can go through right here, including diagnostics. So the service techs can take you into the diagnostic screens and help diagnose things with the chassis on the phone. This page, this is really handy here, and there's 2 pages of this. This is the tire inflation, and it's all 8 tires. We also have it for the towed. Might be a tow vehicle, might be a trailer, but it will report to this too, so you'll know right here on the dash if you're having a problem before it becomes an issue. That's the brake light screen. These are the bays underneath the Coach. They're all green, which means they're all closed and secure. If one of them were open, it would be red, and you know you have to deal with it before you take off. Steering assist, huge deal for us. This has a power-assisted servo steering. It was originally developed to help you maintain control of the vehicle if you had a steer tire failure. We found that those are extremely rare now, but we continue using this because it's an auxiliary power steering. It helps you fight crosswinds when you're going cross country, and it dramatically reduces the amount of effort required to steer the Coach at low speeds and tight maneuvering. The other thing you'll see down here in the lower corner is we are in sport mode right now. The suspension for the coach has a comfort mode and a sport mode, and it significantly tightens up the suspension. So if you're in a lot of curves or fighting crosswinds, I usually put it in sport mode, and it reduces body roll radically. If I'm just on straight roads and they're bumpy, I put it in comfort mode. It lets the coach float more. It's a really, really nice setup there. Overall, just appearance-wise, I like the wood grain in here. Again, we're going back to warming up a light-colored coach. So we've got wood grain here. We've got machined bezels out of aluminum. Also, the pedals are machined out of aluminum with the Newell logo in it. Really cool looking. I love the leather wrap on the steering wheel. It feels really nice. You have your option for regular horns or air horns. We've really just put a ton of thought into this. Up in the overhead here, we've got 3 permanently on cameras, one on each side of the coach and one in the rear. If you don't want to monitor your cameras on this screen right here, they're up there all the time. Or you can even choose to do, say, you're pulling into a fuel island, but you want to make sure that what's shown on the back of the coach is still showing on the screens up there. So you can send this information up to the overhead screens and then go over to the fuel camera and have all of those views at once. If you pull a stacker trailer, we often put a camera on the back of the trailer that will report to this also, sometimes inside the trailer, so you can make sure your motorcycle didn't fall over while you're going down the road. So it's cool to have all of those options for camera inputs that we can do. I really appreciate you guys taking time to watch this presentation on the 1823 coach. It's our latest coach off the line, and we are so excited to put it out there on the road where we can show everyone what we've built. There's 204 of the finest craftsmen in the world working at this place. Literally everything from welding to electrical, cabinets, interior decor, graphic arts, it's all done right here in our facility. This is literally the epitome of a made in the USA machine. Everything is done right here in Oklahoma, and we would really love the opportunity to work with you guys on showing you what we can do here.